Hey, happy whatever day this is, because you don't know. Um, see, we're just rolling with this. We're here. Hey, they don't know what day it is. I don't even know what day it is, and it's not that I know
Yeah.
the calendar. It's just I don't know what day it is, so we're just gonna roll with it. See, that's how we do. We're here with Rob Kessler. He is an inventor and entrepreneur, and you do real estate, which will kind of cover all of those. But I'm curious to have some conversations. So usually the first question I like asking is, how did you end up in entrepreneurship? Because like most people don't fall into it. It's kind of like either a passion project or it was like they hate their job and they're like, I hate bosses and I'm gonna do this on my own. So how'd you end up in entrepreneurship?
Well, I mean, we won't talk about the fact of my me. So
Oh no.
it went way earlier than that. I when I was little, my dad we get like, I don't know, 50 cents a day for an allowance or something. And then we got, I think lunch was like $2 at school. So what he taught us is he would give us the week's worth of money on Sunday night.
Oh.
If you want to go splurge on Monday, Tuesday, and you don't have anything to eat for the rest of the week, that's your problem, but you'll figure out real fast. And so, I mean, I'm talking middle school, did that. So I think that helped on the money side. But as part of that allowance was chores, and one of them for me cutting the grass. And so, you know, I started cutting his grass, cut the neighbor's grass, and then more neighbors. And I mean, I literally remember being 10, 11 years old, cutting grass, 12, whatever it was, and thinking, I'm going to cut this grass so good that a car driving by is going to stop me and say they want me to cut their grass. And I used to when I would do things, and nobody ever did, because I basically lived on a dead end street, so there really wasn't much traffic. But the neighbors talked, and I had 3 or 4 grasses I would cut every week during the summer. So started with that.
But you said your dad ended up firing you?
That was much later in life, but yeah, I worked for him in the jewelry business, and so I worked there in my junior and senior year of college. I worked full time at store and went to school full time, and left after college. Moved to help him open a store out of town for his first store out of town. I hated where I lived; it was so small, and so I ended up leaving there. Went to LA for a while. I came home, got into real estate. 2006, and real estate totally 8, 9 crashed. I went back to work for him in like 2008 or 9, and worked there for about another 2.5 years. And at this point, I'd done some stuff. I was successful. I was one of the top, I don't know, 3 or 4 salespeople in the company. And I'm like, okay, dude, I need more challenge. I can't sit here all day and not be challenged. I need more. And they just weren't willing to push me along. And so just started butting heads a little bit. And when you're a successful entrepreneur, usually that's your firstborn child, even though I'm the firstborn with the exact same name as
Yeah.
him. So it worked out great, because it was more important for us to have a good relationship than it was for me to work there. So we have an amazing relationship now. And it is what it is. It's a funny story, I think.
It is. It is. A lot of people, they working with family can be difficult sometimes, but sometimes it works out. It doesn't work all the time, but when it does work, it's good. But it doesn't always work out, and sometimes you have to like to save the relationship. I got to work, or you got to work somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, he was petrified of second generation businesses. I mean, he had a lot
Okay.
of friends that had them and passed them on to their kids, and they just ran them into the ground because they had no idea what they were doing. They were just handed this like empire. And I think instead of him feeling like we were going to fail, if he would have set us up more to succeed, I think it would have been an easier transition. My sister is still with the company. She's still the head buyer. I mean, she does a lot there, but um, his mentality, he just got around a bunch of people that their kids had totally just crushed their entire business. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think that's just what was prevalent for him.
Yeah, yeah, a little PTSD from other people's experience.
Yeah, yeah. He took responsibility at 150 employees and 35 million a year in revenue, and I mean that's not a small thing to just say, here you go. And I knew that he never gave me anything in my life. I knew I wasn't going to get anything handed to me, but I knew sitting in the sales floor and waiting in retail was just going to make me insane. I too much ADD for that.
So, and it's funny because like everything like we hate doing it, we usually end up doing later for ourselves, and it's just like now I have to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's you force yourself into things that you have to do. I mean, yeah, you're right. Exactly.
And then it's no longer. It's like, all right, I guess I have to do it I have to do it for myself now.
Yeah. Once it's yours, the mentality changes. But my mind is just always wandering. So to sit there in a retail environment for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, it's just like, oh my God, I was starting to just go stir crazy.
So we're kind of pivot the conversation into inventing because it says Rob Kessler inventor. So I like talking to people that create because as in the world we live in, there's like 99% consumers and there's like that 1% that create things, whether it's creating businesses, products, services, and creating a better world in the future. So what's your invention process going through? Like, how many inventions have you made? If it's just one, I mean, that's an accomplishment. I've never invented anything, so let's talk about that.
I came up with a couple of things. This is the first one that I've gone after. One of mine, way back, I don't know, man, I was like 20 or 21 years old. And I always thought, that plastic landscape edging that is like a tube on top and then a piece of plastic that came down, the little hook on the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't they build the like sprinklers into that? And so I had a friend who had a plastics company and I was futzing around with that. It was going to cost so much to extrude the plastic and make it, but I mean, I came up with that when I was in my 20s, and I don't know if anybody ever did anything with it or not, or maybe somebody will now. But to me, it's just I find a problem. I mean, I can sit in a car and be like, dude, I don't like the way this is laid out. It doesn't make sense. Like that button is too small, or this should be over here. Stuff like that just it makes sense to me. And so when I got married in this photo here, it was the beach in Jamaica. This is 30 minutes after I put on a brand new, freshly pressed shirt. It's a one MX Express shirt. So like the number one selling dress shirt in America. Brand new, freshly pressed, and it didn't even make it till when I said I do 30 minutes after I put it on. So I remember, we flew a photographer down. We're looking at the 2,500 photos he took the next day, and I'm like, God, my shirt just looks terrible in every single one of these photos. I hate wearing ties, but I still want to look put together. And I mean, you could see my undershirt is showing. I mean, it was just terrible. So I came home from Jamaica and I Googled everything I could find. Everything was around some kind of kitschy collar, say the magnetic ones. There's like I've seen like those 80s hair bands that girls used to wear. You put that underneath and try to keep it up. I'm like, that is not the problem. The problem is there's no structure in the front of the shirt. So I took every piece of plastic around my house, I cut it into different shapes and started stuffing it down the front of the shirt to just give some structure to that part. And so, I mean, milk cartons, mini blinds, I had little flexible cutting boards. I was cutting that open. So just trying to figure out what the right material was. Um, I never wanted to sell somebody a $2, piece of thing and ruin their $100 shirt. I never wanted to be responsible for that. So it took me 3 years of testing materials and then finally developing a material to, come up with the final product.
Wow. That's amazing. You saw it was your own problem that you solved.
I think most inventions are, if it's a personal problem and you fix it, you just hope to God that, there's a million other people around the world that are just like you having the same problem and willing to pay for the solution.
So okay? So you went through testing, creating. What's the patent process like? Because I've never done this before, so this is my first person I've ever talking through. What's the patent process like?
Patent process sucks. I mean, the second you start it, it is just writing multi-thousand-dollar checks. So, the first step was, you can go on to the USPTO, which is U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and search around for key terms and search around to see if there are other patents that are out there that would, be what you're trying to create. And
Uh-huh.
I did that, and I felt confident enough that there wasn't something there. But the first thing that an attorney does, $1,500 to $3,000, is do an official deep dive into patents and see if your thing is viable. So you start with that check, and then it's like, my guy was, I don't know, I knew that I was going to surround myself and make this the main thing in my life. So I didn't want to go to like, a high school friend that could maybe get it done for cheaper.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
went to the best patent attorney in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was $550 an hour. Gave himself a nice $20 or $30 an hour raise in the time that we were together. But I ended up spending in the six figures to get this patent, and it took 2.5 years to get. So the process is, hey, we've got this great idea and we're going to write it this big so that we can cover as much of the product as possible. The patent office is like, nope, we want it to be this big. And then they're like, okay, well, how about this big? And then they're like, nope, how about this big? And they're like, how about this big? And they're like, nope. And then it's just a battle of back and forth to see how much we can get away with and see how much they'll allow it. And every time that goes back is, unless you pay for the expedited, that was another great check. Like for $3,500, like, instead of 6 months to get a response, it's 6 weeks to get a response, but that's $3,500 right up front. So it's like, well, I didn't want to wait 6 months for a response, so here you go, it's $3,500. So,
And you
but
would
every
think
time you go back and forth,
and you would think that was a new model. Amazon's been doing it for a little bit. They might have got it from the patent office.
yeah,
the idea to pay for extra shipping.
yeah. I mean, it's it's a brutal process and it's never ending. And so once you get the patent, then I have to pay an annual maintenance fee. So you remember those little fidget spinners, those three-sided fidget
Yep,
spinners that came out? A
yep,
lady invented that for her autistic son or something, and
yeah.
she couldn't afford to continue the maintenance fees. And then
Oh no.
depending on the product, it could be $1,500 a year or 2,000 or 5,000, whatever. She lost the patent, and then somebody came in and swooped, and now there's $1 billion industry around those stupid fidget spinners.
Wow.
So it's when you're growing the business, it's like some serious, okay, well, I got $10,000 in maintenance fees I got to pay this year. I got to carve out that kind of cash every month to make sure that I can pay that bill. And then next year it's going to be 12,000, and next year it's going to be 15,000, next year it's going to be 20,000. It's like, it's crazy.
Ooh. I never that sounds, because we do real estate, so it sounds like real estate where you may own it free and clear, but you still have to pay the state taxes.
Yep.
And that doesn't go away. You can't you can sell your patent, but it seems like you'd want to hold on to it, but it seems like it's just
Yeah. I
like
mean,
down.
it's good for 15 years. So, you've got that process for 15 years, and, hopefully you can make something out of it. And there's,
So you have to pay
millions. I mean,
you have to pay the maintenance cost for 15 years?
the patent's active.
Wow. That's
And then you have a US patent, but we also have international patents. So each country, every single country is an additional maintenance fee. So, you could go out and a full worldwide patent, depending on category, could be $250,000 to start. And then, you got annual fees could be another $100,000 a year in annual, just maintenance fees, if you did a full every single country worldwide patent.
Are you afraid of, because one thing I'm just thinking about right now is that, are you afraid of like China stealing your idea, or is that included with your worldwide patent?
We're not protected in China. It's really hard. So of course I am. I mean, it's twofold though. I mean, if they see enough value in my product that they're willing to knock it off. I mean, if they do anything to the U.S. with my product in it that's not a product, then I can sue the company that's buying it. So I'm protected in the U.S. and all the other countries that we select. So they can't import or export it to any of those countries anyways. But if they do, it's also like, well, they think this idea is good enough. Maybe it's building market, and more people are going to know about it. And the more people that know about it, the more people will find us, the more product we'll sell. Competition is good, but it's also got to be done the right way. So
So it brings you, it's like a no, there's no such thing as bad marketing. Even if it looks bad, it's still good marketing.
well, one of the things I did find out is that the patent can be an additional revenue source. So, where we have spent six figures plus to get and maintain this patent, if somebody infringes on it, we could still sue them for $1 million because of that protection. And that is a revenue source to get, if somebody tries infringing or stealing our patent. So, but
Have you licensed it? Because I'm sure I have no experience in this whatsoever. I'm just I know a little bit about a lot of things. Can you license this to like a larger corporation and you get paid like a royalty fee in that way?
So we originally, the idea was to make our own shirt. We did a Kickstarter, and unequivocally, we did not get funded on Kickstarter. But unequivocally, the feedback was, why can't I upgrade the shirts I already know and love? And why don't you license the technology so you don't have to compete with all these other dress shirt brands? And so
Yeah,
we've met with every single brand, every major brand, you name it, Untuckit, Ralph Lauren, Perry Ellis, PVH, which owns Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Van Heusen. I mean, they're everybody. Um, and we got really far. Then a couple of years ago, we got a meeting with Express, which was amazing because it's actually the shirt I got married in. And so
yeah,
they flew us up. We came to Ohio. We met with them. They were super excited. We're talking about it. They sell 30 million Express 1MX shirts a year. I mean, this is massive.
yeah.
And so we're in this meeting, and I'm like, "Hey, you want the best marketing ever? Here's my actual wedding shirt for my wedding day." And they're like, "Oh my God, this is great." And then COVID hit, and it found out that Lex Wexler, the owner, was basically the guy that funded Jeffrey Epstein. And then, the company they're trying to sell off part of like Victoria's Secret because it was just diving. So, like the perfect storm of three terrible things happened. So we've been trying to license it. Absolutely, we haven't been able to get somebody to bite.
Wow. That's man, it's a very interesting path that you're on that not many people have seen or heard. So I'm really trying to dive in deep here because this is it's very intriguing information. I take it upon myself to know I like having conversations with a lot of different types of people just because I like absorb different information from a lot of different places. So I
Mhm.
can talk about the randomest things. It's weird.
I mean, my wife's friends are like, they talk about something and I comment on it, and they're like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, I don't know. I meet people, I retain interesting things. I don't know. I've just done
So
so
you
much stuff.
so you get it. So after I think you're doing amazing. I mean, you trying to license it. Have you thought about doing something like Shark Tank to maybe get out there more?
1,000%, 100,000 people apply every year, and you want to try to be one of the 275 that gets picked. It's very, very, very competitive. And my wife and I moved to Los Angeles. We ended up meeting Mark Burnett's personal assistant, who was able to get me into like the process. But even
Uh-huh.
that wasn't enough to get me through and onto the show. So I've known other people that know other people that know like the top guys over there, and those
Uh-huh.
guys can't get me on the show, and they're like super influential. And so there's just it's highly, highly, highly competitive. I mean, it's the best marketing you'll ever get for free. 10
Yeah.
million people will watch it, and it could change your life. I've met a bunch of Shark Tank contestants. I've met a bunch of people, but never made it on.
This is man, that's even its own man, you've literally tried everything. I mean, you're doing the business consistently, which is amazing, and then you're
Mhm.
trying to do other things to get the business to blow up even more. Because what I like about it is that it's a low price point. It's a low price point to upgrade the shirts, and you already have everybody already owns the shirt, so it's just a matter of clipping it in. Can you do a demonstration of how easy it is to clip it in for people that are watching on video?
So it's actually sewn in. So that is the challenge with our product. So this is what it looks
Oh,
like.
okay.
It's 9 inches long. So what a tailor will do is open a couple stitches right here. They slide
Slide
it
it.
in, and it sits just inside of the shirt. So the beauty is, like I've got this great contrast, and you can see both sides of this part of the shirt. It's inside. There's always two layers there. So once it's in the shirt, it's in. It lasts forever. It'll never fold. It'll never bend. It'll never break. Uh, and it's just in there. So the beauty is every dress shirt's made exactly the same. Um, and so you literally open a couple stitches. It takes 5 minutes to do. Anybody that knows how to sew. I've got my little sewing machine right here. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm in the middle of upgrading some shirts for our inventory. So you can buy just the stay, and then have your tailor or your dry cleaner or your mom install them.
Uh,
Or we have a wide selection of Tommy Hilfiger, Michael Kors, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, like tons of shirts that are already bought and upgraded. And then we also have a VIP pack. So you mail me 5 shirts, We'll install them and send them back to you all upgraded. So easy, any way to do it. And then we have a polo pack. Looks like you're wearing a polo. So
Yeah.
it comes with a little seam ripper. So the way that polos are made, you just pop a couple stitches, you cut this to length, you pop it in your polo, and it just sits in there and stays and just totally changes the look of it. So that's kind of a DIY one, but
I like that it's permanent too. I mean, you
Mhm.
just put it in there, sew it back, and you're good to go, and you wash it, do everything you normally do, and it pops right back up.
I mean, think how many times you like put on a dress shirt and you're like leaving the house, like, damn it, I forgot my collar stays, and like this collar's curling out this way and this one's curling in. It's like, permanent collar stays are great if they work, but they're typically too thin to actually be effective. So this is actually thick enough to be in there, and because of the way that the placket kind of opens up, you don't really see where any of it is. So it's cool.
Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna have to order myself some because I am not a tie person. I hate ties. I used to be religious, and I used to wear ties like every day in high school. So I'm like, I think I'm burnt out with ties for a long time,
Yeah.
and I'm giving them all away. So I think I'm going to that look right there. That's good.
I sold cars, dude. They made me wear a tie. I was like, it's like, you're walking. You can always tell the guy that's wearing a tie that's doing it because he has to. It's like that doesn't. That's not the right look.
Like, uncomfortable. He's like he might look good, but he's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like the single knot, like not a double Windsor. Just I had to throw this thing on.
So, let's talk about selling a business. Are you in plans to sell this? Are you keeping it for life? Just keep the licensing, or have you sold this
Um,
in the past?
I sold one business, two businesses already. So I had a screen printing and embroidery business. We sold that. Um, we did that to move to Los Angeles. So we sold that business. Actually, ended up going to one of my clients. Um, and then our real estate portfolio, not really a portfolio. We had two buildings, but we had 32 offices in two buildings,
Okay, I would say
fully
it's a
rented.
portfolio.
Huh?
That's a portfolio, I would
All
think.
right.
If
Well,
more than one, you can call it a portfolio.
so yeah, we bought. We had one in Milwaukee, one in Green Bay. We sold them to one guy. That company was called GetOffYourKitchenTable.com. So we had all inclusive small offices. It came about because I was looking to move my screen printing business out of my basement, and I'm like looking at places. And it's like, yeah, this, $20 a square foot or whatever. And it's like, then an electric bill, and then a water bill, and then insurance, and internet, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, I don't know. I could have a good month, a bad month. I don't know what's the number. And so we bought this 6,000 square foot building, put my screen printing business in part of it. My wife opened a gym in part of it, and then we had 8 offices that we subdivided and rented those out, all inclusive with internet and everything. We had one. Our smallest was 95 square feet. We were getting $350 a month, which is almost $35 a square foot, which is crazy. But when you package it all together and you're like, hey, dude, you can have this space with internet and your own lockable little office. You don't have to have people at your house anymore for $350 a month. They're like, okay, I'll take that. That's great. Rented like that. So we did that. We had 32 offices in 2 buildings, and sold that to a guy. So,
It's amazing what the marketplace tells you what's needed because, like me, I would take that because I don't like it gets me out of my house, and I don't necessarily need that much space,
yeah,
and that's not a bad deal. I would probably do that deal.
just don't go home and do the math because you get mad. But it's like it's just an all-in thing. I mean, again, it was a problem that I had. I don't want to be nickel and dime. I don't want to think about what I have to come up with every month. I want to know what my bill is going to be, especially if I'm a small and growing business. I
Yeah.
need to be able to budget. And so we had $350 offices all the way up to $900 in that building, and then the next building, I think they were like $200 or $300 down, up to like $1,500 or $1,600. And so the second building we bought, like I bought this building, it was advertised for a 1.3 cap,
Okay.
and I'm like, this can't be right. It was 16,000 square feet, all brick. It had 20 offices, and it was getting $4,000 a month. And it was bought up by a REIT, and nobody was managing it. Nobody was touching it. It was still getting $4,000 a month for they were asking $199,000 for it, and I got it for 160. I redid the carpeting, the paints. We put a new roof on, just like updated it, filled the whole building, added 2 more offices, and I sold it 13 months later for $450.
Not a bad deal.
Yeah, it's all right. Could do that.
Deal.
Could live on that.
You can live off that. No, that's amazing, man. What is the I think you said the goal is now to try and find somebody to license it. You're still trying to get on Shark Tank. You're just continuing the business. What is how long have you started this, by the way? How long have you been doing?
So this magical day was in February of 2013, and again, it took almost 3 years. So we basically launched January of 2016. We sold almost 500,000 units to people in almost 130 countries. So the goal, we're going to do a shirt, and then we went to just this aftermarket kit. We've actually launched our own dress shirt once. Again, we did it right in the beginning of COVID and sold out and couldn't make anything else. That company's called Go Tyless, this one.
Okay.
So first shirt designed to be worn without a tie, $1 million collars pre-installed. We're starting to bring that back out. But one of the cool things that we do is I can digitally print anything on fabric. So we did these shirts for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We took their logo, printed it right on the fabric, and then we cut and sew it into the shirt. So it's on the cuff, it's on the collar band, it's inside the placket. So if you're looking for like a branded company shirt, you don't want that left chest, trade show looking shirt like that. You could have it digitally printed into the fabric and and have a dress shirt that's your brand. So that contrast, instead of it being some pattern, it's actually your logo.
I might have to do that. Just
They're epic, and they're made in Turkey. They're incredible. We're doing them for about $55 a shirt. It's a 50 shirt minimum because they have to make it worthwhile at the factory. But you're $55 a shirt, 50 shirts, take about 8 weeks to make, but they're really high quality. Our shirts have the hole that's called a convertible cuff. So I've got a hole in between the buttons, so you can wear cufflinks with it. Most anybody body color, and then this could be any color you want it to be. Any logo, any colors, anything.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I have to talk to my partner, see if he wants to split it. Because one thing, the problem with me is I'm big. I'm big and tall. I need extra sizes. I have to go. I can only shop at certain places.
We're extra small to 4XL in slim and standard, so we should have you covered. I mean, I'm 6'2", 210 pounds on a good day, so I wear an extra slim, extra small, extra large slim is what I wear. So
yeah, I'm about the same height, but a little bit bigger.
It's all right. So you can get the standard XL standard.
I was like that low 200s like 10 years ago. I'm just
trying.
I'm just a big guy.
I mean, look at my wife, dude. I can't be she's tiny, not tiny, but she's shredded. So trying to stay relatively in the range.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Are you still doing real estate at all?
Just getting back in. I actually have had my license this whole time. So I did it for 14 years in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And then we moved to LA for 5.5 years, just moved to Georgia. And as a way to get me out of the house and kind of like meeting people and learning the areas, I moved my license here to Georgia with the lady that helped us buy a house. So I'm going to putz around with it. I've got a concept that we're working on. My wife and I are working on right now that we'll hope to be rolling out in the next year. But something a little different in real estate is, we like to try to find something a little different we can do.
You can what's beautiful about real estate, you can kind of create your own niche, and there's a lot of different things that people don't even talk about that people are doing. So, and it's kind of cool that real estate is so expansive because even what you did with your little offices, that's amazing. It's creative, and it's creating opportunity out of nothing, and you 4x your return in 13 months. So you can't not being creative. So that's really we like messing in the real estate world. But you're only doing agent type transactions right now?
Yeah, I'll just do showings and inspections. Like I was going to be an architect. I thought I wanted to be
Okay.
an architect when I went to college. And real estate was just a way to get me into those homes to see, the architecture and to be able to appreciate it. And I was in UW Milwaukee, which was like the #2 architecture school in the country at the time. At the time, and I grew up on the east side of Milwaukee. And all those homes, these mansions that are on Lake Michigan, were all built in the 20s, all the way down to like these duplexes. And so the woodwork and the detail in some of these houses was just incredible. So I love, exploring that and checking that out. I've always done kind of the residential side. We owned commercial because I never liked the idea of bathrooms, and the more
Yep.
plumbing there was, to me, there's more potential issue. So
Yep.
had 20 offices and 3 bathrooms or 4 bathrooms in that one building. So it was like very, very minimal plumbing.
No, that's the way to go. The way to go with commercial. You can definitely amplify your. Because we stay away from single family ourselves. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want single family houses. Why would we voluntarily?
Yeah, no. Yeah, the more doors, the better for me. 32 was in 2 buildings was a great number. We bought one building for 185, the other for 160. We put tons of money into them to make them nice, but both were fully rented, and we got out of those, I think, in 2018. So a year before COVID hits, and who knows I don't know what happened to those commercial buildings, if they're full or empty, or you know, you'd think somebody who's just kind of looking for a place outside their home is going to be, I'm out. So I don't know if they did well or not, but timing worked out. We sold those and bought a yacht, and then started a yacht charter business. That's my wife on our boat, in Los Angeles. So yeah, we just
How how profitable is that?
insanely profitable.
Really?
Yeah, it's stupid.
My my business partner, he's always joking around. He's like, "Well, we're always trying to get nice things that other people pay for."
I love that. That's my life. Yeah, I mean, we wanted to do a boat. I was helping a buddy who was a captain. He had 3 boats that he was running business, and I didn't think he was very good at the business, but he was. It was a great industry, and so we looked it up and just kind of did some research, and scooped up this boat, and built a hell of a business out of it. We're in the process. We had an offer on it, but Los Angeles has made it impossible for us to sell the business, so we're just going to have to sell the boat at some point because we're
What do you mean?
done with
What?
California.
Oh man.
Yeah, none of the licenses are transferable, and so I keep asking. I'm like, hey, well, can we find a way? Like, the business owns the licenses. Like, nope. Whoever buys it has to go to the end of the line of everybody else who's trying to get in line to get into the business. So I'm like, nobody's going to buy a business that's operating and let it sit for a year and a half to get active. That's just not how it works. So you guys are actively not allowing me to sell a business. So it really sucks. But now that we're in Georgia, we're like, it's time to move on.
Ah, maybe it's worth it to be as the face of the company, but hire and partner with someone in the back end. That way you can get residuals off of it.
Well, we've got the boat running, but it's, we bought it with 350 hours. Now it's almost 2,000 hours on it. And so I've got a great captain. I've got a great team over there, but it's still a lot of stress. It's a lot of
Ah,
worrying. It's just so far away. I flew 34 times last year, mostly to go out there to work on it, or to, help out when one of those guys couldn't do it. So, um, I was out plenty. I like being home, and we're on 5 acres now here in Georgia, and I got lots of space and projects, and we run stuff for a while, and it's time to move on.
no, that's good. We switched because I was just in Georgia and I just moved to LA, so we switch roles here.
Yeah, my wife came here to work, in January of last year, and I'll tell you what, and she was here for 7 weeks. She found this house. There was 9 offers. We won, and 2 weeks later, I was packed up and out of California.
Yeah. Well, what part of Georgia you live in now?
We're southwest of Atlanta, in next to Peachtree City, in a town called Tyrone.
Tyrone.
We're on a dirt road. My internet sucks. I got like 10 download internet, so I'm happy that this podcast is working, because if it was raining and stormy, I probably would be in and out like crazy.
Yeah, one of my clients that I'm actually doing a deal with, he lives in Kings Mountain. No, is it
Okay,
Kings
I don't
Mountain?
know.
It's it's next to Columbus. I forget
Okay,
this something mountain. I can't think of it right now. But
yeah,
there's a lot of opportunity. I like Atlanta. There's so much opportunity in Atlanta. So much opportunity. It's
yeah.
a
That's what
growing
our new
city.
idea, I think, is going to crush it down here. So we'll have to hop back on and talk about it once we get the groundwork laid. Because I just finished a course on how to buy a boat and start a business and do the whole charter thing. So that is about to launch.
Just
And
don't do it in California.
yeah, just don't do it in Los Angeles. And as this new thing that we do, we're gonna keep track of everything. So we'll be able to put out a course on the new thing that we're doing. So
It's amazing, and I'm really glad you mentioned that. Just because a lot of people don't see the value in courses, but if somebody already went down that path, laid it all out for you, why not take the course? I wish I would have done that for my first business. I probably wouldn't even have started it.
yeah, I mean, I think I think that was one of the challenges I found with my product is there's very, very few things on the planet that you buy one place, but you have to go somewhere else to get it installed just to use it. So I didn't really have that path to follow with Million Dollar Collar, which was a challenge. Um, but with the charter thing, it's like it's a boat, it's a process, it's a thing that can be replicated fairly easily. So
Yeah.
I just thought there was just a cool thing. I was compiling all the information was actually kind of fun and going through it all again. And we're one of the top chartered boats in Los Angeles. I mean, if you search charters in LA, we pop up, and we've got a different looking boat than everybody else's boat. And so I don't know, we made it pretty successful pretty quick. So
No, it's amazing. What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
I think it was Wilt Chamberlain, but he said something along the lines of uh, give more than people expect and you'll always be successful. I just back to those days of cutting grass. It's like I always want to make sure I cut every blade of that grass and that the lines were perfect. And I just always, even my screen printing business, like we folded every shirt individually. I labeled them all with my own label. Like I just made it a little bit nicer than people get it. I'm like, oh, this is great. The packaging for our product is better than most people expect. I had one friend that was like, dude, your packaging is better than like Hermes or something. Like you're just way too over the top on your packaging. But it's a nice surprise and it doesn't cost that much money to put things together. I mean, people order so much stuff on Amazon now and packaging is like not even a big deal. It just stuff half the stuff I order just comes in a plastic baggie with a barcode on it. I mean, it's like there's just nothing to it anymore. So doing a little something extra is not expensive and I think it stands out.
It's putting the love into the product that not most people don't care. Most people don't care. So putting the
Yeah, my
extra.
mom does all the shipments. I mean, if you order from our website and it'll say your name, it'll say she'll write on the packing slip Daniel, and then she'll sign it Chris. I'm like, a human being touched that, so it's
Good.
something extra. And then if somebody gives me a hard time about not getting what they expected, I'll say, I'm really sorry. My 72-year-old mother messed up. Can you cut me some slack and I will make it right?
If you don't, I'll have to fire her.
Yeah.
You don't want that on my
Don't
hands.
don't we don't want yeah, I that tradition ended with me and our family. Don't make me fire my mom, please.
I think a lot of people like there's a it's a funny thing that I hope I have a lot of clients. So I'm like I'd rather keep my employees than my clients because my clients service a lot more employees. My employees service a lot more of my clients. So you as an individual client are not really as important as my people are. My
Yeah.
employees are, and it's kind of hard to convey that.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to tell the clients that too much.
I know,
Um,
but this is gonna
but
go live to all my clients.
yeah, my dad he was in the jewelry business and he grew an incredible business. And it was always client first, team second, and company third. And if you put the client's needs first, then and make sure that the team is working together well, everything worked out. He grew faster than any other jewelry company in the country. I mean, he was I think number three when he retired, behind the third largest independently owned jewelry store in the country. So, um, highly respected in the industry, and it's just made decisions. So it was easy to kind of follow his path on how to do business because I watched him go from nothing to 35 million a year in revenue.
I have a good question for you, and it's something I haven't done before. But how do you stay consistent and don't hit burnout? Because you've been doing this. You started 9 years ago, which is a long time. How do you not burn out in business?
I think it's a passion thing. If you're just, and this might be channeling my Gary Vee, but if you're just doing it for the money, it's easy to burn out because there's never enough money. But every time I get an order, or even better, when I get a review from somebody, I was like, dude, this thing changed my whole outlook. And people look at me differently. They don't even know why they're looking at or what they're seeing that's different to me. But when I get a review like that, to me, that's what makes it. I mean, money's great, but getting something in the hands of somebody that's looking for that. I've always been looking for this. I always thought this was a problem. That to me, and there's days that I'm like questioning my life choices for sure. Fortunately, when I'm doing that, usually my wife is on top of the world and she's doing great and she lifts me up. And the days that she questions her choices, and I'm doing well, and so we balance each other out really well that way.
Uh, that's it's a hack to have your partner on the same page, even when ups and downs come, because it's never it's never all the way up or or flat. It's a roller coaster. I'm
Yeah,
sure writing out those commission checks for the maintenance of your patent is just like, here we go again.
I know. It just freaking hits again. It's like, oh, and it comes out of like I don't even know when they're coming. It's like, oh, 3,500 here and 2,700 there.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm gonna put your website down here, milliondollarcollar.com. Go check it out. I think it's a great product. I'm gonna have to buy some. My wife actually sews, so I'll have to.
Done.
I'm gonna get the packet.
Watch my 3-minute video. She'll be like, dude, this guy's a knucklehead. If he can do it, I can.
Yeah, I have a very big problem with ties. I haven't worn a tie since I got married, and I will probably live with that for a while.
Yeah, I think outside of being in a couple friends' weddings, I have not worn a tie since my sister's wedding. And then before that, one time I got to go to the Magic Castle, and you have to wear a tie to get in the Magic Castle in LA.
Oh
So
man,
that was the one time I've worn a tie in the last like 15 years, I think.
wow. It'd probably be a no for me. Like if I have to wait for it to happen, probably
But
not go.
I found out you can, where you got the little buckle up there with the two strings, like you could wear that. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
that would
like
have been cool if
the
I don't even know what the
bolo
hell
tie.
that's called.
It's called bolo ties, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you could do that, but you can't, you have to have a tie and a jacket. I know. But it's
Restriction.
Magic Castle, dude. You have to go. Like it's epic.
I've never even heard of that.
Are you in LA?
I am.
Okay. It's just on the north side of Sunset. I think it's in West Hollywood, but it's invite only. So, but it's a huge, it's a mansion, and every different room is a different magician who's just doing their act, and you just bounce around. You can see different shows, and it's insane. But it's an invite only thing, so you got to find somebody who's a member.
Got it. I just looked it up right now because I'm curious. I always
Yeah,
like I hear new things and I'm just like, well, I appreciate your time. I hope we get some clients off of this. I'm definitely gonna be a client, so I'm gonna have to buy some and tell my wife to watch the 3-minute video because I don't have time for that.
yeah.
But
And then if you want the custom shirts, that's at gotylus.com. There's information there at gotylus.com.
gotylus.com. I will put that down. Gotylus.com. All right. We appreciate your time, man. This was a really great interview. You opened a lot of questions that I had. Now I know a little bit more about the patent office. So if
Yeah.
somebody stops me randomly 10 years from now, I'm like, yeah, I met Rob Kessler. And we talked about patents and maintenance and all that stuff, and it's already here. See?
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. I
You
hope
bet.
milliondollarcollar.com. Check it out. Thank you.
Look your best.